Hi everyone, welcome to the Animal Reader. Today we're going to talk about the Ag-gag law that went into effect in Canada last week in Ontario. We're going to talk about the consequences for animal rights activism, and we're talking to Camille Labchuck. She's from Animal Justice. That's a non-profit that focuses on animal law in Canada. Welcome, Camille.
Thank you, Priya. It's good to be here.
First of all, the Ag-gag law, it went into effect, I think about a week ago. What does it mean? What is it exactly? What does it mean? And what does it mean for animal rights activism?
Well, it's really bad news, the spread of these ag-gag laws. And the term ag-gag, in case you're not familiar with it or your listeners are not familiar, it refers to agricultural gag. So the point is that these are laws that are designed to silence people from speaking out and exposing cruelty in the agriculture sector. So hence ag-gag laws.
Yeah.
And we now have two provinces with very serious ag-gag laws in Canada. We've got Alberta and Ontario, two of the largest provinces. Mm-hmm. And Ontario's law actually, both laws ban people from going undercover in factory farms, slaughterhouses, situations like that for the purpose of exposing animal cruelty. So we have been fighting these laws now for about a year since they were first introduced and they went through the legislative process. And unfortunately, the farming industry is very powerful and has been lobbying for these laws across the country. So we now have them in Alberta and Ontario, mm-hmm. and several other Canadian provinces are considering passing them as well. But in short, they make it illegal to go undercover to gather hidden camera footage of the cruelty that happens behind closed doors on farms. And we know this is one of the best ways to expose this type of cruelty to the public. So it's a very, very bad thing for animals.
Because we're going to show some footage that you, a few days before this law went into full effect, you revealed footage from a pig farm. I'm going to show it while you tell us what we're seeing. And this was shot before the law came into effect.
Yes.
And just for everybody, a small disclaimer: this is really extreme footage. So if you can't handle it, you should look away now.
Yes, it's very troubling stuff. So these are images from inside an Ontario factory farm that does pig breeding. So what we're seeing right now is piglets having their testes and their tails sliced off without any anesthesia. We're seeing pigs being artificially inseminated over and over and over again. For mother pigs who are used for breeding, this is their life. They are inseminated for years. This is some footage from other farms in Canada that's been gathered through undercover exposés, also depicting just horrific cruelty. And I think the point is that every time cameras go undercover, this is the type of cruelty that they see. These are not isolated incidents in one farm. They are pervasive in the meat industry. Pigs on breeding farms, I know in Europe that many jurisdictions have actually banned or restricted gestation crates. But these tiny stalls, mother pigs are kept in them virtually their entire lives. They can't turn around, they can't socialize with each other, they can't do anything that comes natural to them. And that's still legal in Canada to do that. This is a farrowing crate. Pigs are put into those farrowing crates after they give birth. That means that they can't interact with their piglets in a normal way, they can't nestle with them, they can't do anything that comes naturally to them. So it's, just an incredibly heartbreaking situation. Yes, go ahead.
And is this, so I see like a lot of people find this quite disturbing to watch, which it is really disturbing to watch. But I wanted to ask you so this was shot, you've shot this, your organization revealed this. This is becoming illegal now to show, or was it legal before to do it? And is it now becoming illegal, or was it punishable before, but the punishment wasn't that severe?
No, it was legal to do this up until 5 days ago. The government had previously passed the Ag-gag law, but it wasn't yet in effect. Mm-hmm. And just days after we released this hidden camera footage depicting the truth about pig farming in Ontario, the government brought the law into effect. So it's it can't be coincidental timing that their response to this footage that's very harmful for the meat industry and particularly the pig industry, it can't be a coincidence that their response is not to pass laws to protect the pigs, but to pass laws to cover up the cruelty to the pigs.
Yeah, because that's just something that your agriculture minister said. He said this is for the safety of the farmers, but he doesn't anywhere address the safety of the animals. And as we could see in that footage, and for everybody who wants to see you made a whole 6-minute it's very confronting, but I think it's really important for people to watch it. But you can go to the YouTube channel of Animal Justice or on their website, and the full video is on there. But your agriculture minister didn't address animals at all. Like, what were their responses to the footage? And besides helping farmers, what did they say about helping animals?
Well, the agriculture minister refused to comment on the undercover footage. He had nothing to say. He said, well, that's with authorities and they're investigating it, so he's not going to comment on it. But previously, when they were speaking out in support of this Ag-gag legislation that they introduced, you're right, it was never about the animals. It was always about humans and about protecting farmers from this type of activism. This whole move to cover up cruelty on farms has been really pushed by farmers because they know that it's a problem for their industry and for their reputation when videos of animal cruelty make it onto the nightly news. So that's 100% the motivation behind this. They try to claim that it's about biosecurity, that it's about food safety and protecting private property. But we know the truth is that undercover investigations don't interfere with food safety. They don't interfere with biosecurity, and they don't interfere with anybody's property rights. They're simply employees who film what they see and expose it if it's egregious illegal cruelty.
Because what are the, like, when they film what they see, what are the animal, like the protection of animal laws in Canada? Are they protected? Is it legal to do this? Like 3-year-old piglets are just their balls are being cut off without anesthesia. Is that allowed in Canada?
Unfortunately, Canada has some of the worst animal protection laws in the Western world. We actually don't have any regulations at the federal level or at any of the provinces that explain how animals on farms should be treated. So there's no rules banning things like gestation crates, like battery cages for hens, or like veal crates for calves used for veal. There's no rules banning painful mutilations like debeaking chickens or cutting off the testes and tails of piglets without anesthesia. There's simply no rules about this. So we believe these actions are still illegal because they're so egregious that they violate general animal cruelty laws, even if they're not specific to the farming industry. And we've been calling for charges, and the authorities are investigating.
And because a lot of animal rights activists, you have a really big, like the movement is huge in Canada. How do you explain that contradiction in the country with having so little animal laws and then having such a big animal rights movement?
I think that there's a lot of amazing activism being done in Canada. You're totally right. But the farming industry in particular is very well entrenched because it's an urban rural country. There's quite a split between some of those areas. And I think especially in rural areas, the farming industry is powerful, fur industry, the trapping industry, those types of industries that profit from using animals are able to flourish, and they exert a lot of influence on politicians. So it's very difficult to make progress on animal issues when those industries that make billions and billions of dollars from exploiting animals are the ones that politicians listen to. So that, the solution to that is a social movement, which we have and which the world has, and we're seeing progress around the world. I just wish it was faster.
Yeah, definitely. But you're saying it like it's always about money in that sense. It's $1 billion. So even when politicians see this, they might think it's horrible, but they won't change it because there's money involved in it. The part of the law went into effect in September. That's we've seen those footages I've seen them from Canada also, that people give water. Look, when the trucks with a lot of pigs enter slaughterhouses, you have animal rights standing there, and all they do is film them and give them some water. And a few months ago, Regan Russell was an animal rights activist. She was hit by one of those trucks and she died, which made world news. But to my surprise, the man who did this wasn't charged with manslaughter. What do you know what the status is now, and what will happen to the person who did that? Because it was, from what I've understood and from what I've seen, it was an actual, he almost went out of his way to hit her.
Well, it's a tragic situation. And you're right, Canada is ground zero for the animal safe movement, which has grown around the world. And a lot of people do vigils outside of slaughterhouses where they give water to pigs or thirsty animals in their final moments. And importantly, they film inside those slaughter trucks to expose illegal cruelty and violations of Canada transport laws and transport laws in other countries. And Regan Russell was one of those brave people. She was at that pig slaughterhouse in Burlington, Ontario every week. For years, she had done that. She knew how to keep herself safe. When she was hit, it appears that she was standing on public property in full sight of the truck. So obviously, I'm a lawyer, but I don't have access to all the information that the police did. We certainly have concerns about their investigation. They have charged the driver with a provincial offense. So it's more like a traffic ticket than a serious criminal charge. So he's charged with careless driving causing death. And it's very difficult for me to, sit here and tell you that there should have been another charge without access to the evidence. But what I will say is that in this slaughterhouse in particular, and more generally, when you look at animal rights activism, police are always willing to charge activists with serious criminal offenses. I mean, that particular slaughterhouse is notorious because Anita Krines, the founder of the Save movement, she was charged with a criminal offense for giving water to pigs there about 5 years ago. And her trial became a global phenomenon. Everyone was talking about it. So that's an example of police being happy to prosecute activists for doing something that hurts nobody and helps animals. Yeah. Yet time and time again, we've seen activists be assaulted by farmers. We've seen farmers and truckers violate rules and abuse animals in egregious ways. And they almost never face any legal consequences. So all I can say about the situation with Regan Russell's unfortunate tragic death is that this pattern appears to be repeating itself.
Yeah, I think it's also worldwide you see that farmers are getting more police protection almost. I saw in Australia this animal rights activist who, from Meet the Victim, said the same thing, that farmers get way more protection almost by police than animal rights activists get. And the only thing they're trying to do is just to show the public. And the public, when they see it, usually doesn't agree with it. So all they're trying to do is just show the public what's happening. It's there should be a turning point in that. I think police, like in Canada, but everywhere in the world, should really look at what who they're protecting, because it almost feels like a farmer's protection.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the history of policing, frankly, police have always been brought in and used for the purpose of protecting people's property. The idea that police protect people's safety is not always the case. And we very often see that they're used in this way to protect profits and protect the capitalist system.
Mm-hmm. True. How is animal justice going to fight this new law? Is there a chance that it will be overturned, or do you see just other states getting it also, or other cities?
Well, it's interesting. If you look at the history of ag-gag laws, they started in the States, and then a number of states passed them, and a bunch of states rejected them because they found them problematic. But in the states where they passed, in the US, animal lawyers have gone to court and they've challenged ag-gag laws, and they've won. They've successfully struck them down in court as unconstitutional because they interfere with people's freedom of speech. And we believe that that is true in Canada as well. So Animal Justice intends to file a lawsuit against the Ontario government, and we'll try to strike these laws down because we believe they violate our free expression. It's important to be able to express to the public what animals go through on farms, and the public has a right to receive that information under the Canadian Constitution.
Yes, and can you tell us something more about animal justice? You're the executive director there, and you're an animal lawyer. But it's a movement that only a few countries have. That the United States has them, you have them. But what does animal justice do, and what topics are you at the moment tackling?
Well, we're a legal organization, so we try to advance animal rights and protection using the law. That includes things like getting better legislation passed, because as we've discussed, Canada's legislation for animals is very outdated and pretty far behind other Western countries. Mm-hmm. We try to make sure that industries that egregiously abuse animals, especially the farming industry, that they're held to account for their illegal conduct, and that animal protection laws are effectively enforced. And we also go to court to fight for animals when we have an opportunity to do so. So we try to make animal issues highly visible in the corridors of power, whether that be in a legislature or in the courthouse.
Thank you, Camille. We're going to keep in touch with you. Hopefully you can turn this. The law just went into effect a few days ago. Hopefully you can fight this in court and turn this event. But thank you for your time. And thank you, everyone, for watching.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thanks. Bye.